Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, yesterday when I came into work, a couple of my colleagues were telling me about Eminem's performance during the BET Hip Hop Awards. You know, they have a session where they do a cipher, a freestyle, and all that kind of stuff. And he did a cipher alone. And they told me about it. They said he dissed Donald Trump. I was like, I got to check this out. So I went ahead and checked out the video, and I watched it a couple of times. I will include a link in the description box when I get a chance for those of you who have not seen it. But I thought it was a powerful freestyle. I thought that his flow was on point as usual. He's a great MC. He's one of my favorite MCs. And I'll go into whether or not he's overrated later, but he is one of my favorite MCs. He's one of the most talented MCs in the game, especially right now, given the state of hip hop right now. But Eminem took that opportunity to make a great and powerful political statement. He talked about Donald Trump and his ties to these white supremacists. He talked about Donald Trump and this whole issue of a possible nuclear holocaust. He talked about Donald Trump trying to distract people by bringing up this whole NFL thing instead of dealing with the real issues of facing the American people and people in Puerto Rico. The whole crisis in Puerto Rico following the hurricane. He talked about racism, the racism that black soldiers face when they come back from fighting abroad and all that stuff and have to deal with racism here in America. People telling them to go back to Africa and all that kind of stuff. So it was a powerful statement, and I commend him. I commend Eminem for having the courage to use his platform to make a powerful statement against this fascist in the White House, Donald Trump. Eminem also did something that people rarely do. He even dissed his own fans that supports Donald Trump. He dissed them. He basically said, F you to those supporters of him, that support Donald Trump as well. And as I listened to this morning, again, I was thinking about Kid Rock, and I was thinking about how Kid Rock supports Donald Trump, and he supports the Confederate flag and all this other right-wing garbage and stuff like that. And I was thinking how great it would be to see those two battle. They both claim Detroit, and I would love to see them engage in a battle, on this issue, like a political debate type of deal in rap format. Of course, Eminem would obliterate him. Kid Rock, he's not really a rapper nowadays. He's more like trying to be into that rock and roll stuff. But anyway, I just think that it is great to see an artist use their platform to spread a political message. Because too often, a lot of these artists do not deal with politics at all. And Eminem is one of those artists who, for years, didn't even address politics. I mean, for years, he talked about some of the most crazy stuff, like killing his baby's mother and, raping his own mother and dissing his own mother and burying his mother and all that kind of stuff. Some crazy stuff, using all kinds of crazy drugs and doing crazy stuff. I mean, he's a great artist, He's a great artist in terms of his storytelling skills and all that kind of stuff. He can make you laugh in one rhyme and make you upset in another rhyme, or make you sad in one rhyme. He's a great artist. He's a great artist. And I do think that regardless of his race, like, he would still be a great artist. If he was black, he would still be considered a great artist. But I think that in this society, obviously, he wouldn't be considered as great if he was a black MC. He would just be another good MC. He wouldn't receive the same level of attention that he's receiving now, especially right now at this time with this whole Donald Trump rap that he did. Like, if this was a black artist, they would receive a lot of attention. Like, for instance, when A Tribe Called Quest did that performance, I forget which award show it was at, but they did a performance and they were dissing Donald Trump and all that kind of stuff, and that received some attention, but it didn't receive nearly the same level of attention as this Eminem performance. So, I think that if Eminem was black, he would just be another good MC, another great MC, but he wouldn't receive nearly as much attention, period, and he wouldn't receive as much attention as he's receiving now for this rap that he did dissing Donald Trump. You know, because there are plenty of politically conscious artists who that's what they do. They focus on issues of importance. They focus on politics and current affairs and things that actually matter. I mean, you had groups like Public Enemy for years putting out a strong political message. Groups like X Clan back in the day. And you got groups like Dead Prez today. You have artists like a Common Sense, you know, who has a great album. You know, a great album that he released, I think it was about a year ago, that's underrated, that talks about all of these issues that the black community faces, but it doesn't receive nearly as much attention. You got artists like Most Def dropping knowledge all the time, and you got people like Immortal Technique really getting into some deep political type of rap. These types of artists, they don't receive nearly as much attention, and I do believe that race has a part to play in that. So that's one thing that I wanted to talk about. You know, I just think that um, since he's a white artist, like a lot of people just give him more praise and more attention. Um, and they look upon him as like the great white hope, just like people look upon, you know, and worship a white Jesus. That's how they basically have turned Eminem into a virtual white Jesus and all that kind of stuff, especially right now. Like, you know, there's so many MCs that have just as great skills, if not better skills, that receive far less attention. But anyway, I think that still, nonetheless, you know, I think that it's a great thing that this man, Eminem, decided to use his platform to convey a political message. And I just wish there were more people in that kind of position that would do that. You know, you've had, you know, for instance, Snoop Dogg, who did a political video about Donald Trump. You've had people like T.I. and stuff like that make statements about Donald Trump. But I think that overall, I think that it's time for hip hop to become more serious and more focused, like it was back in the day when I was really coming of age and really into hip hop. Hip hop was a voice of consciousness. It inspired people to learn about things, to study history and all that kind of stuff, to listen to speeches of people like Malcolm X and Farrakhan and other political leaders. But yeah, I just think that right now, hip hop is focused on like getting high, you know, selling drugs, killing people, you know, engaging in all kinds of debauchery and stuff like that, womanizing and pimping and all that kind of stuff. It's focused on a lot of negativity, especially at a time like this where we're in a crisis type situation, where you have the rise of these white supremacist groups. You have a nut in the White House. And that brings me to one point that Eminem brought up about a nuclear holocaust. I mean, there are stories in the news about this president, Donald Trump, talking about trying to increase the number of nuclear weapons the United States has in its arsenal. This man actually went before his national security people and talked about increasing the nuclear arsenal by 10 times. And they had to point out to him that, first of all, there are all kinds of treaties that would prevent that. You know, second of all, it would increase the arms race. And when you increase an arms race, it's more likely than not that eventually somebody's going to use those weapons and there will be an actual nuclear holocaust. I mean, you had a crazy guy in North Korea. You had this crazy guy in the White House. Anything is possible. So that just brings me back to Eminem's rap, man. I think that his point about the nuclear weapons and all that kind of stuff was on point, right and exact. But yeah, I just think that overall, you know, it's a great thing that this MC from my hometown of Detroit actually used that platform to reach millions of people to just bash Donald Trump. And he deserves to be bashed. He's a disgrace. He's a disgrace to the American people. He's a disgrace to the office. And I'll be glad when he leaves, man. I'll be glad when he leaves that White House. So anyway, you know, tell me what y'all think. What did y'all think about Eminem's rap session where he dissed Donald Trump? Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.